counties of Homa Bay, Kisumu and Siaya. As Weekly Focus reports, the President will launch the first phase of the 5,000 affordable housing program for Homa Bay County in line with the government's plan to reduce the housing gap, which currently stands at the 2 million units.
To tour Homa Bay County for the second time since assuming office. This time, he will extend his visit to Kisumu and Siaya counties during the two-day working tour of the Nyanza region. In a press briefing, the State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed said the head of state will launch the first phase of the 5,000 housing units for Homa Bay County in line with the government's affordable housing program.
Homa Bay was the first devolved county government to sign the Affordable Housing Memorandum of Understanding in April 2018. The county has set aside 11.6 acres for the affordable housing project. This support, of course, is critical to achieving the President's agenda and the government's agenda. Already, 39 counties have identified land on which affordable houses will be built.
According to Mohammed, cumulative 376 projects are actively in the pipeline and will deliver 599,000 housing units across the country.
All this, as I said, is in line with the President's commitment to bridge the housing deficit, which currently stands at 2 million units. The target is to do 200,000 units every year.
The Kenya Kwanza administration has earmarked the affordable housing program as a means to bridge the housing gap in the country, while in the process creating job opportunities, especially for the Juakali artisans.
Housing parts such as doors, windows, gates, hinges, and all other fittings will be supplied by the local Juakali associations. This will boost the local economy, put money in the pockets of hustlers in Homa Bay County, and of course for the Juakali enterprises. With such programs, they will expand, create jobs and create wealth, and especially nationally for the 3 million people in the Juakali subsector.
During the two-day Nyanza tour, President Ruto will preside over the commissioning of the newly completed Homa Bay Municipal Market in Homa Bay County, the Blue Economy Research Hub at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology in Siaya County, and also met local leaders. For Lunchtime News, I am Weekly Focus.
And now we cross over to Naivasha, where the induction of the Kenya Women Parliamentary Association, KEWOPA, has converged in Naivasha. And the exercise is dubbed Driving Change, the Value of Women in Leadership. Now, we shall be linking up with our reporter, John Jacob Courier, for more details. Now, let's listen in.
Thank you very much, Jackie Wambiru, back at Broadcasting House. Indeed, like you rightly pointed out, this is the induction of the Kenya Women Parliamentarians Association, or KEWOPA, happening in Naivasha. There's so much to discuss, particularly on women leadership, but just so that we get a clearer picture, let me just bring in two ladies. One of them is a member of parliament for Kipipiri, and then later on I'll bring in the woman representative for Laikipia. Mheshimiwa Wanjiku Mohia, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to our viewers. Yes, we are right here in Naivasha, Sawela Hotel, and the main agenda today is driving change through women leadership. And KEWOPA is an organization of women members of parliament, women members of Senate, and every election we do conduct induction so that new members can know how to handle the legislative matters and how to drive the women agendas. Of importance today is the 2/3 gender rule, which has failed time and again, but we hope that by the time we leave here, we shall have come up with a formula, the formula that will make the current parliament legit, because as you know, the previous parliament was termed as not legit because it had not successfully found a method and a formula to give to the women regarding the 2/3 gender in the constitution.
The cabinet secretary, one of her clarion calls obviously has been for women MPs to engage men, so that this becomes a reality. I don't know what modalities you're going to employ as women members of parliament to woo men into supporting the whole agenda of the 2/3 gender principle.
Of interest is that the two-third gender shouldn't be seen like a women agenda. It is a Kenyan agenda. As I may mention, because I come from East African Parliament, today in the country called Rwanda, we have more women in parliament than men. So this is a case scenario which can indicate that in future we can also have more women than men in parliaments. For that reason, we should look at it as a Kenyan agenda so that we can proportionally be on the decision-making table, because we are all taxpayers, and it is not fair that when we have decision-making tables, it is carried away by one gender.
You come from the Kenya Kwanza side of parliament or side of government. How do you think President William Ruto has fared in terms of ensuring that there is a strict adherence to that two-thirds gender principle, particularly on appointive seats?
I think he has done very well, and most important by encouraging, repeating and giving women confidence, like we have just seen one of us, Honorable Aisha Juma, who was our member, who is currently the Cabinet Secretary for Gender, and putting confidence to women, in my view, is very important, and I think the President is in the middle or in the center of this.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Wanjiku Mohe. Let me bring in the Honorable Jane Kagiri, the woman MP for Laikipia. Very quickly, Mheshimiwa, involving men in advancing this agenda of the two-thirds gender principle. How will you work on it?
First, let me say, going by our theme today is the value of women in leadership. One thing we have agreed is that we have to do things differently. What has been tried in the past and has not worked cannot be repeated again. So one of the avenues we are going to use is including our male colleagues and helping them understand that it's not a women issue only. We need them to understand that they have daughters. In the future, it could be them who would be looking forward to having the one-third or two-thirds gender rule considered on them. So those are some of the ways we are thinking about of how to involve everybody, for us to understand that the two-thirds gender issue is a country issue, not an individual or an either gender issue. Yeah.
I mean, looking at the results of the last election, which of course is a lot of work that has been done by women, but you see a progressive uptake of women leadership in the country, added to the 47 affirmative action seats. Maybe one would ask, do we really need to look at the law, or we just let, us flow with the tide?
No, I think we'd need to look at the law, because looking at the gradual progression of women, we all need to be afraid. Even the men who think that it's not about their issue, it is also their issue. The last Council of Governors, we had only 3 women governors. Now we have 7. I can project in the next one we'll have 14 or 20 women governors. So we need to start appreciating that we are all both supposed to be complementing each other. And so looking at the future, we need to be prepared for what comes, because I don't want to hear you crying one day saying we should have appreciated the two-thirds gender rule. When that time comes, and that time it's women will be more than the men. Yeah.
At the end of these 3 days, what do you seek to achieve as women members of parliament after these 3 days?
The greatest thing we seek to achieve, of course, is the unity of purpose, that we all came in from different parties or different political divides. But once we get to the House, let us remember the election of women also comes with other issues. And that is why either House needs to have both gender, because there are issues that are special to women. So at the end of the day, whichever parties we come from, we are required to remember there's still something else that binds us together. And that is what we need to make our greater good as the members of KEWOPA, so that we work together.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. The Member of Parliament for Laikipia County, that is Jane Kagiri, also speaking to us about the entire agenda of this meeting. Earlier, like about 20 minutes ago, the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action was on the podium. She was the chief guest in this event. And of course, what she was speaking about is how men and women, particularly in Parliament, need to collaborate to ensure that there is adherence to the constitutional principle of the two-thirds gender rule. But not just that, about how collaborative efforts between her ministry and women members of Parliament will go a long way in empowering the girl child when it comes to financial inclusion, giving her dignity and security, and most importantly also the issue of sanitary towels to girls in both in schools as well as using them in public sanitation facilities. And obviously one of her complaints has been that the issue of the issuance of sanitary towels has been domiciled under the Ministry of Education, which obviously should be under the Department of Gender and Affirmative Action. But those are some of the issues that are upcoming. Of course, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Etangula, and his counterpart from the Senate, Emerson Kingi, were billed to address this meeting, but they have not shown up. Maybe they will show up in the afternoon or tomorrow early morning. But of course, these members of Parliament again continue to await for their arrival because, again, them steering the wheel in the National Assembly and the Senate is quite critical in terms of the agenda they are executing here in Naivasha. For now, I want to hand you back to Jackie Wambiru, our broadcasting house. For the rest of the news, we'll give you a comprehensive story in our bulletins at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Back to you, Jackie.
Thank you so much, John Jacob Curry, reporting from Naivasha, where the induction of the Kenya Women Parliamentary Association KOPA induction is currently underway. We shall be keeping you updated in our subsequent bulletins. For now, we move on. The government is set to review regulations that guide content distribution and broadcast on Kenyan television screens. Youth Affairs, Sports and Arts Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba noting that only 34% of local content is aired on televisions, with 64% being content from foreign countries. Now, Namwamba further adding that existing guidelines are clear and it would not be business as usual for broadcasters who collaborate with content creators to promote foreign programs at the expense of locally produced ones. He spoke during the unveiling of the awardees of the third cycle of Kenya Film Commission Film Empowerment Program grant worth 39 million Kenya shillings to boost the creation of local content.
We as a country are very keen to raise our film industry and our creative sector generally to that level where it becomes a key driver of our economy, especially at a time when we are very keen to see our economy grow faster, create employment for our young people, and raise the living standards of our people.
Empowerment Program is a funding program initiated by Kenya Film Commission, premised on the fact that when you fund creativity, you can be able to get products. And we are very certain that through this initiative, we are going to tell more Kenyan stories.
In other news, the government has been urged to urgently address a mental health issue that has greatly contributed to human rights violations in the country. Speaking during the release of World Report 2023, Human Rights Watch claimed African leaders failed to tackle widespread abuses against civilians by state security forces and non-state armed groups, and insufficiently prioritized justice efforts for victims of atrocities across the continent.
Encouraging comments from the current president, but we haven't seen tangible steps or measures that the president has put in place to try and address these issues long term.
Civilians have continued to bear the brunt of armed conflict, communal violence, political and social unrest, as well as government repression against critical and independent voices in several African countries. All of this have resulted in the destruction of lives and livelihoods, as well as massive destruction of private property and public infrastructure, all of which will take many years and probably cost billions in reconstruction. Armed insurgents and, in many cases, government forces have inflicted terror and horror on civilians caught amid the fighting and forced hundreds of thousands of people to flee both within and outside their national borders, where many face discrimination, rejection, and sometimes violent repulsion.
A family from Kwanungu location, Momboni Ward, Mwingi Central constituency in Kitui County is seeking justice after their 26-year-old son was allegedly shot dead by police officers in unclear circumstances. According to the deceased family, their late son Felix Musili Sami and his brother were dragged out of their house in the wee hours of Wednesday by two police officers, where Felix was allegedly shot dead while his brother was detained at a local police station for a few hours.
You take dinner with your 2 sons and proceed to have a rest, only to be woken up by gunshots and commotion. This pain and trauma of losing a son in unclear circumstances can only be expressed by sorrow, bitterness, and anger evidenced among the family members. Sami Yohana, the deceased brother, recounts the incident.
Mosili wakati alitokezea wakampinga mduki, na wakimpinga mduki wakaachana naye hapa chini, walimpinga mduki ya tumbo. Wakajana naye hapa chini na wakanifuruta wakaniambia twende.
He says they were bundled up by 2 police officers and dragged some few minutes before his brother's execution, while he was detained at a local police station for a few hours.
Na nikitokezea mmoja akanishika akaniweka pingu, nikamuuliza ameniwekea pingu nini, nimekosa makosa gani? Akaniambia nitulia na nikae hapa. Ukiingia kwa ofisi wakaniuliza maswali ya huyo wamengonga. Nikawaambia, wakaandika sijui ni nini waliandika. Walimaliza kuandika wakanitoa pingu na wakaniambia niende.
With the deceased father urging the DCI, the IPOA and other relevant authorities to delve into this matter swiftly, as the circumstances surrounding their son's death are suspicious.
Hii serikali ya Mumbuni chief na assistant chief na wale askari wako hapa, mimi sina uhusiano na hao askari na hao machifu, kwa sababu hiyo maneno yote wananjua na kuna fitina iko ndani wa machifu.
The deceased body has since been moved to Mwingi Level 4 Hospital mortuary awaiting postmortem, while the police officer is being detained at Mwingi Police Station awaiting arraignment. Elsewhere, police in Ruai in Nairobi are investigating a case in which a 29-year-old Bernard Wandeto Kabungo died in Kenyatta University Hospital, allegedly in the hands of police officers.
Justice ili wa mtoto mwingine asitendewe kitendo kama hiyo siku nyingine. Wajali watoto wako na wazazi.
Hata kama mtu amefanya kosa lipi, anafaa kushikwa, afunguliwe, uchunguzi ufanywe na mashtaka afunguliwe. Mwenye anahusika ashtakiwe, kama hahusiki aachiliwe.
Frederick Parsayo, Lunchtime News.
A 57-year-old man is recuperating at the Nyahururu County and Referral Hospital after he was attacked by marauding hippos at Manguo village on the outskirts of Nyahururu town in Laikipia County last night. Josephat Kahiga managed to fight off the hippo and later raised an alarm that attracted neighbors. He was rescued and rushed to the hospital where he is undergoing treatment. Residents are now calling on the government to address the issue in an effort to avert similar incidents.
Kwa hivyo tunaomba kwanza hii serikali ya Gavana Irungu ijue vile itatushughulikia, ijue vile itaangalia mwananchi wote wa Manguo, ndio at the safe side hii hipo wajue vile watafukusa.
Na serikali tungeomba ya kwamba iweze kutuzingira sisi wote, kwa sababu serikali ya Mheshimiwa Ruto ilisema lazima itaangalia mkaaji wa kawaida, na tungeomba ya kwamba serikali ikaweza kuhudumia kila mtu na tuangaliwe vizuri juu hawa viboko wanatoka pale Manguo wakipanda Elite kuelekea Maina. Sasa wenye huwa wanasafiri kwenda miguu wako hatarini sana.
Well, that report brings us to our first break here on Lunchtime News. Don't go too far, we still have more news coming up.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
We're meeting an upcoming actor. Check this out.
Sipiki chai. Leo nakupikia mayai, maziwa.
My name is Gabriel Mutemi. and I'm 11 years old and I go to school at Garden State Academy. What I usually do is acting and my talent is singing.
I've gone through all the books and I've brought you an amazing story. I love this story especially because it is about nature.
I've been showing you guys on how to make the yummiest chocolate cupcakes that you guys can try out at home.
I'm going to teach you how to make smiley faces.
You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you.
You and her can be Baba Jane's wives.
Sharing is caring.
Karibu chai iko tayari.
But your mom needs help.
Enda. Na ukiachwa kitu yoyote awezi deal nayo.
Mbona uko kwa bwana wako?
Huku ni kwetu.
I've never killed anyone before.
If mom is not happy, I can't be, yeah? Could you please come over?
Mark is trouble.
Yani utaki niingie hata kwako?
Mixing business with personal matters. Baba Jane. I love you so much, Krista.
Are you too serious about this marriage business? This company is where it is because of me.
I know you will never get tired of reminding us of the fact, but I'm not going to let you ruin this company because of your fights with Melissa.
Calvin is doing drugs.
I thought you were changing your ways. You have disappointed me once more.
I used to think that you'd do anything for us. But now you've become this person who ruins things that have taken people years to build.
Just hold on.
Unanishuku.
This is my company, and no one is going to take it away from me.
Forget about it!
To get Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 as your skiza tune, dial *811 *967#.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not in your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 to 6.
To get Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5, dial *811 *967#. *811 *967#.
Welcome back. The Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, Cooperative, now wants the government to harmonize payment rates for Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examiners to 100 shillings per paper marked. Currently, the markers take home different amounts of money depending on what subjects they mark. For instance, Christian religious education subject assessors have only been receiving 55 shillings per script compared to markers in other subjects who get between 60 and 70 shillings per paper.
Forever, solidarity forever.
Led by Julius Korir, the union's national vice chairperson, the officials who made an impromptu visit at St. Francis Girls High School, Mangu, a KCSE marking center in Gatundu North, Kiambu County, that was closed on Tuesday evening following protests by examiners who decried that the Kenya National Examinations Council has been contravening labor practices to underpay the evaluators.
These examiners are being exposed to poor working condition. They wake up around 4 and they work up to around 11, which is very unfair. It is an unfair labor practice.
Ni kama slavery. Hii ni kama utumwa kwa sababu walimu wale ambao wamehitimu kwa kiwango chao wanafaa wakiwa wakisahihisha hiyo mtihani kwa hoteli kama wafanyikazi wengine wa serikali.
We are aware that each examiner had marked averagely 350 papers. That is equivalent to around 20,000. We want to ask our good government to consider sending that money to their M-Pesas.
We are encouraging Kenya National Examination Council to be more consultative in what's doing. We have been trying to reach out to them to even sign a recognition agreement with us. They have refused to do that.
On Tuesday evening, NEC announced examiners' vacancies to replace the discontented examiners who left the marking station after their services proved to be intolerable. Meanwhile, Mbere North Member of Parliament Geoffrey Ruku has called on the Teachers Service Commission to distribute the recruitment of teachers equally among the 290 constituencies.
If we are recruiting 30,000 teachers in the Republic of Kenya, we have 290 constituencies. So we expect not less than 100 teachers who are going to be recruited either to primary school, secondary school, or to teach in other schools.
Joan Junge for Lunchtime News.
One person has been arrested in Limuru town in Kiambu County for impersonating a landlord and closing more than 5 businesses. Police officers from Limuru police station rescued the man from angry members of the public who were baying for his blood. Agitated traders said they have incurred huge losses after their businesses were closed by the fake landlord.
Bilagu ni tufunguliwe biashara zetu, tuendelee na kazi zetu. Nao waendelee na vita zao, wakimaliza sisi hatuna shida. Yule tutaambiwa tuwe tukilipa nyumba ama yule atachukua nyumba. Sisi haja yetu ni biashara. Tungetaka sisi tulipo hasara yetu. Kwa sababu mali yetu iko ndani, hakuna pale tunatoa chakula. Kila siku tulikuwa tunafanya kazi, mtu anakuja anapata elfu yake 2, 3, 4, 5. Na pesa yetu yote imelala imekuwa hapo.
There is no way mtu anaweza toka na huko atuambie tukua tukimlipa nyumba na sisi tunalipanga. For the last 20 years kuna mwenye tunalipanga nyumba. Sasa wakishinda wakisema ati hatulipangi rent, wanajuaje hatulipangi rent? Wezi kaa nyumba ya mtu for 20 years na ulipi rent.
Kenya is a country of rule of law. Na tuna sheria ambazo huwa tunazifuata, ambazo hawajafuata, na hatujakataa waende kotini ikisemekana ni yao. Sisi hatuna shaka. Ile shida tuko nao saa hii ni biashara ambazo zimefungwa, sifunguliwe, wenye wanafanya kazi waendelee kufanya kazi.
A baker who allegedly suffered spinal cord injuries while working at Mini Bakers Busia branch is seeking compensation. Awarded him with, is seeking compensation worth 1.6 million shillings. Kennedy Martin says the accident occurred while on duty when he was trying to meet the baking targets set by the employer.
Na lengo la kuja hapa Nairobi, nilikuja kufuatilia pesa malipo ya compensation baada ya kupata ajali nikiwa kazini. Kampuni ikapiga hesabu jinsi inatakana nilipwe kupitia kwa ofisi ya DOSH, Directorate of Safety and Health, pamoja na WIBA, Work Injury Benefit Act. Na wakafika katika hesabu ya kwamba nilipwe pesa 1.6 million, na yule ambaye ako na uwezo hata wa kunena katika ofisi ili nipate msaada ya malipo, tafadhali nisaidie nipate matibabu, nipate malipo yangu.
A father in Gatamayo village, Kiambu County, is seeking justice for the custody of his 2-year-old daughter. This is after the 26-year-old biological mother, Esther Wanjiku Ngure, who abandoned the child at the age of 7 weeks, disappeared with her. According to the girl's father, Daniel Mongai, he took up the mantle of taking care of the baby single-handedly, only for the mother to materialize 2 years later and took off with the child and claimed her custody. Mongai claims the mother has occasionally neglected her parental obligations to the point where the kid was sexually molested. The matter has been reported to the authorities at Ruto police station.
Kwenye alikuwa ameenda, alienda kupeleka mtoto wako kwao. Mizi kwenye mtoto wangu alibakiwa na huko. Na niyo choku sana, hiyo kitu inaniuma sana. Mtoto nimelea, yeye amekuja, amenibebea mtoto, ameenda huko na huko kwenye alipeleka mtoto itaivi. Akanipigia simu mtoto amebakwa, mimi nikaenda mpaka hapo. lakini nimejaribu kufuata, nimepeleka mtoto hosi.
Walikuwa wamekosana kidogo, akaenda akarudi. Kurudi Mongai akasema hawawezi lala na yeye nyumba moja. Akaletwa kwangu na nikampea place ya kulala. Kukaa kitu saa 8 usiku, mwanamke akaamka na akasema anataka afunguliwe nyumba aende. Na alikuwa amebakisha kitu kama mwezi hivi ndiye ajifungue. Sasa tukamuuliza saa 8 usiku unaenda wapi? Akasema yeye anataka kwenda. Tukamwambia hatuwezi kufungulia juu masaa ni riski. Akasema anataka apande huku juu ajirushe. Hivyo ni huyo mama haikuwa nzuri tangu mwanzo.
Sasa mimi naomba tu yeyote tu anaweza kuwa tu yeyote tu anaweza tu nisaidia tu nipake haki ya huyo mtoto. Juu nimeenda ofisi kadhaa kwenda kutafuta full custody ya mtoto. Sijaipewa mpaka wa leo. Naenda nashunguzwa pande ile na kireto nyuma, mwisho sipi yangu.
In other news, 3 people have been murdered in a similar pattern within a span of 2 weeks in different estates in the Wambiru area, Nakuru County. The victims are said to have been attacked and assaulted to death. Residents lamented that security has deteriorated in the area and are urging the authorities to beef up security.
Murders conducted in a similar pattern within a span of 2 weeks have come as a shock to the residents of Wambiru area in Nakuru County. The recent cases were carried out in different estates of Ishariria, Mubarak and Sugunoi. Wambiru area located at the border of Nakuru East and Gilgil sub-counties has for years grappled with security challenges threatening the peaceful coexistence among the residents. Residents say dumping of dead bodies to the slaughtering of donkeys is a common occurrence. The criminals are said to take advantage of the poor infrastructure.
Lakini community pamoja na serikali kuna pahali kuna hitilafu kwa sababu hakuna action yachukuliwa. Tumepiga maripoti, tumeandika mabarua, lakini hakuna kitu kimetendeka.
Hivyo tunalia kwa serikali waweze kutusaidia ili watupatie security, namba moja kutuondolea pombe hizi vijana wetu wanakunywa kila mara hapa.
One murder that caused an uproar was that of a 17-year-old student who was brutally attacked by a group of youths at the Ishariria Center. Shuru Kamau, a Form 3 student, was rushed to the hospital by his family, but he succumbed to the injuries while receiving treatment.
Nimeomba tu yani usalama na mtoto wangu, hata niko na stress, hata sijui nisaidiwe haki. Juu mtoto wangu amekufa kifo ya kuuliwa. Hakuna hatua imechukuliwa, juu hata kwanza walitoroka.
A postmortem revealed that he died as a result of internal injuries. For Lunchtime News, I am Teresa Mutai.
Now, in news making headlines in the business world, the Engineers Board of Kenya has initiated talks with commercial banks to only fund projects undertaken by licensed engineers. The board's chair, Erastus Mongera, says this will help banks minimize losses and instill professionalism in the construction industry.
Banks and other financial institutions may soon start requiring property developers to present details of the engineers engaged in their projects, in efforts aimed at ensuring that funding is only directed to constructions involving licensed engineers. The Engineers Board of Kenya says it's developing a checklist that will guide financial institutions on projects to approve for funding.
In addition to looking at the land security and all that, let them also look at what that particular individual wants to develop, whether it is designed by professional engineers and is certified and stamped and signed off by a professional engineer.
The regulator says this will help eliminate quirks in the real estate sector that the board says are responsible for the recent increase of collapsing buildings.
The engineering document, which will contain the design drawings, it will contain the quantities, it will contain the description of works, should be done by a professional engineer.
Government says it will start enforcing the 40% local content for mega project in the country.
Encouraging joint ventures like the local farms with the foreign farms where the projects are too big, both contractors and also the engineers. So we are very alive to that and we are working on it.
Engineers from Pakistan and Malaysia are expected in the country in June this year to access Kenya's higher learning institutions' capacity to offer engineering courses and accreditation process, as Kenya seeks to be the second country to join Washington Accord after South Africa.
The mentors will come and inspect and make sure that our training institutions, that is universities, are offering engineering courses that have been accredited by the board, and that the syllabus being taught are competent-based curricula.
The Engineers Board of Kenya says the Washington Accord will assist local engineers secure global accreditation to take on mega projects that are currently mainly done by foreign firms. Kenya is optimistic of completing the processes of joining the Washington Accord by next year. Benson Rioba reporting for Lunchtime News.
And I cross over to Ngong Road, where family, friends and colleagues have converged at the Friends Church Quakers along Ngong Road to pay their respect to the late media icon Catherine Casavoli. Now we cross over where members of the For the State who served alongside her are currently singing. Let's cross over.
Every time she would pray before you leave, and she would make us, those of us who worked behind the scenes with her, to sing Amenitendea. So we request all of you to stand because we are celebrating Bwana Amenitendea. She is happy where she is, and she would be happy to sing this with us.
Well, those live pictures are members of the fourth estate who served alongside the late Catherine Casavoli at the Friends Church Creekers Ngong Road, where the Requiem Mass is currently underway. The members of the fourth estate leading hundreds of mourners in paying respect to the departed news anchor. Now, we shall be keeping you updated as we progress. For now, we cross over to the KICC, where it is day 2 of the 3-day public hearing and participation for the 2023-2024 budget in Nairobi, with calls to increase farm inputs, subsidies and facilitation of micro, small and medium-sized enterprises taking center stage. We now link up with our reporter Caroline Jenga for an updated report. Carol?
Joining us, Wambiru. We are live from Kenya International Conference Center, or rather Convention Center, where the second day of the public hearings is ongoing about the budget for the year 2023 and 2024. This conversation started yesterday when the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury launched this event, as Kenyans come out in numbers to just share their views in regards to this year's budget. Remember, this is the first budget with this new administration, and they have to incorporate a lot of things that they promised Kenyans during the campaign season, and also as they're implementing the bottom-up economic model. And these are the areas that they are looking at to ensure that they grow their economy. They are looking at 5 key sectors, and these are housing, we have healthcare, we have digital superhighway. They're also looking at investing in areas to do with SMEs and SME. And today the conversation has been around the micro, small and medium enterprises, where they have been talking about their issues. Kenyans came out to share which areas that the government can look at to ensure that this sector is incorporated in or is onboarded into the economy. Remember, 80% of MSMEs are in the informal sector, and they want to be incorporated into the economy. And this is one of the conversations that they had that's just in mid-afternoon or the mid-morning. And in the morning, we had the energy infrastructure and ICT sector, where they broke down some of the issues that are facing those key issues. And one of the issues that I saw that came out prominently in the morning session is that there is a low absorption of funds in the energy infrastructure and also the ICT sector. There's a low absorption of recurrent expenditure as well, and this is in regards to what can be done to ensure that this absorption increases in huge numbers. Those are the areas that we'll be looking at maybe throughout this 3-day session. It started yesterday. Today is still ongoing. We have the afternoon session. We also have the evening session. Also tomorrow we continue with the public hearings and public participation as the government goes ahead to plan for this year's budget. Back to you, Wambiru.
Well, that is our reporter Caroline Jenga with an update of the 3-day public hearing and participation for the 2023-2024 budget currently underway at the KICC. Well, we now move on. Plans are underway to expand the Tana irrigation scheme in Hola by 1,000 acres over the next 18 months as demand for Kwamboka rice production increases. Now, Tana irrigation scheme manager Kiremi Kiregia says the expansion will support farmers to increase the acreage under the aromatic rice variety that is gaining popularity at the Tana irrigation scheme due to its resilience to saline soil and higher yields when compared to conventional rice varieties.
Out of the 5,000 acres under irrigation at the Tana irrigation scheme, commonly referred to as Hola irrigation scheme, about 2,000 acres are under Kwamboka rice production. The resilient rice variety is gaining traction, especially in Hola, Tana River County, as the only rice variety that withstands the weather conditions of the region. Nancy Miano, a farmer at the Tana Irrigation Scheme, says she came to Hola 4 years ago and her first harvest was, to say the least, disappointing.
Nilikuja nikapanda mchele ya Bishori. Sababu ya hii maji vile ni moto, Bishori saa zingine ukienda kushaga inavujika.
She, however, says after consultations with agronomists, most farmers in this area took up the Kwamboka rice variety.
Hawa watu wa kutengeneza mbegu wakatuletea hii mbegu ya Kwamboka. Na kutoka wakati hii mbegu ilikuja, sasa iko na miaka 3.5 na imetusaidia.
From engineering perspective, we try to develop a cropping program which is a starting point to ensure that all farmers and the management, we are at the same page.
He says with public-private partnerships, the scheme could potentially be expanded in the next 18 months to put almost 2,000 more acres in Hola under irrigation. They want plans to expand the irrigation scheme, fast-tracked to increase the acreage under irrigation in the area.
Hii mchele ya Kwamboka ni variety mzuri sana. Na sasa hii mchele tunaomba serikali yetu ikubali tu hii mchele yetu, isituletee mchele wa kuharibu bei, na ituongeze mashamba na tuongezwe maji.
As opposed to other crops, rice has really excelled. We are able now, farmers are able to fetch a lot of money per acre from rice.
Hibak Said for KBC Channel 1.
Plans are underway to introduce a central SACCO and a central liquidity service in efforts to enhance the capacity of regulators in the cooperative movement. Cooperative's Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui says this is among a raft of measures aimed at growing the cooperative movement in the country. He made the remarks during the unveiling of a mortgage facility by Mwalimu National SACCO.
We'll continue deepening this product and supporting the next product, which is microloan. We'll onboard SACCOs like Mwalimu National SACCO, and we will be developing a relationship in the features that we are working on so that we are able to reach more people, more Kenyans, and even leverage, partner, work together in an ecosystem that will lead to a national agenda.
So then government has made a policy position to say that one of the ways of driving down cost is to identify land which we shall give to you at no cost to you as a Kenyan. We have done our numbers. That is taking away anything between 30 and 40% of the total cost of the development. So how can that be a bad thing? Is that a bad thing? Now, if you make noise and you refuse to whatever it means, you are happy to go and buy from the market, which is factored in the land.
And now in the sports arena, English Premier League strugglers Southampton boosted their hopes of winning a silverware this season after defeating Manchester City 2-0 last night to qualify for the semi-finals of the League Cup. City paid the price of a limp display and never recovered after first half goals from Sekou Mara and Musa Djenepo at St Mary's. Southampton, who will now face Newcastle on the 24th of this month, and the semi-finals have never won the League Cup, losing the 1979 and 2017 finals. They were joined in the semi-finals by Nottingham Forest, who beat Wolves 4-3 on penalties after a 1-1 draw at the City ground. Forest will face Manchester United in the semi-finals of the 24th of this month. And Andy Murray and Taylor Fritz applied registered victories the pre-Australian Open matches today with straight sets wins at the Korean Classic. Now three-time Grand Slam champion Murray scored a confidence-boosting 6-3, 6-3 defeat of Australian number 24 Alex de Minaur, while Fritz followed up his Team USA United Cup title by toppling Alexei Poypin. Now Murray, who has only played the Melbourne Park Major twice in the last 5 editions due to a pair of hip surgeries, said his confidence was growing by the day. He will have his work cut out from round 1 after being drawn against Italian number 14 Matteo Berrettini. Well, that brings us to the end of our bulletin this afternoon. Thank you for choosing Lunchtime News. My name is Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter is Lucy Maura. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. And before we come to a close, the service, the Requiem Mass of the late media icon Catherine Casavoli will be aired live on our YouTube live stream service for those who wish to follow up. And now that brings us to a close.
Jenny? Hey! You got the offer! Yeah! You got it!
What are you doing? You look like Charlie. Charlie Chaplin.
No, my name's Jenny. I'm really looking forward to working hard with all of you here. Thank you.
We ordered 20 cupcakes for a photo shoot. Take them to the studio on the 20th floor, okay? Do it now and be fast. Thank you so much. Hurry, hurry.
But
people are waiting.
All right.
They transferred you here?
Yeah.
Naye Mtume Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam anashauri kuwa kuna zama ambazo itafikia ambazo binadamu atakuwa anaamka akiwa ni Muislamu, lakini jioni atazamia akiwa ni kafiri.
Harakisheni kwenda kufanya matendo mema lillah, na yale matendo mema yawe na sharti mbili, iwe mukhlasa lillah, ufanye na ikhlasi lillah, kwa ajili ya Allah. Ukiswali swali lillah kwa ajili ya Allah.
Destiny, I wanna rule my destiny.
What destiny are you going to do? If you come drunk like this at 9 a.m. in the morning,
Yes, mbona it is in destiny.
what destiny if he is drunk like this?
So, what do you propose, Professor Theophilus?
Guys, I really don't think teacher is doing okay.
How do you know?
Yes, how do you know? Are you a mind Linda?
You never know. Maybe she can read his body language.
Which language is that?
Pesa, Agneta. If you don't have pesa, take it.
In short, guys, I am carrying things inside here. Can you imagine?
company is where it is because of me.
I know you will never get tired of reminding us of the fact, but I'm not going to let you ruin this company because of your fights with Melissa.
Calvin is doing drugs.
I thought you were changing your ways. You have disappointed me once more.
I used to think that you'd do anything for us. But now you've become this person who ruins things that have taken people years to build.
Just hold on.
Unanishuku.
This is my company, and no one is going to take it away from me.